So if you start, will you just tell us who you are?
Okay, yeah, my name's Fiona Carey. I live in the east of England, although originally I'm from just down the road. And I'm involved kind of locally, regionally, nationally as a patient rep in there's too many organisations really, from the local GPs to national stuff that I'm doing. I thought that the event in September, the first meeting of the Assembly and the AGM, was interesting, and I think it's a great development, the NHS Citizen. We're clearly kind of pushing an open door in terms of the need for patient representation and so on. The board, seem to be serious about wanting to be called to account or wanting to be seen to be called to account. We'll see how that pans out. Okay. And I thought the event was great. I thought that the business of all the board being there was tremendously important. They all did seem to listen. They all did seem to be quite affected by the things that they'd heard. None of it should really have come as a surprise to them, but evidently quite a lot of it did. I was on the stage when the 5 of them were recounting their experiences of being in the groups, and I actually saw 3 of them get chin wobble in the telling of some of these stories. They were clearly affected. I think it was a good event. It involved lots of people. It was brilliant to see the youngsters, brilliant to see constituencies like the transgender groups who've had a hard time with the NHS.
Yeah.
I think the ball we dropped in September was there was a huge amount of listening and understanding and sharing. There weren't any explicit objectives, really. So the board went away sort of, determined to kind of do something about these problems, but what? We didn't get as far as kind of creating demands. I know there's all sorts of problems. If we had created demands, they were in a position to say, yes, here's another £100 million, So you can't ask people to make policy on the fly or make commitments on the fly. But we didn't ask them anything explicit. So actually today, stock taking, how the hell do we know what's worked or what hasn't worked? Because I don't know what we asked them to do. Okay.
So in terms of an aspiration for today then, because we do have a record of what they said they would do.
Yeah, but
it
was kind of look at, investigate, explore. There was nothing that says we'll do this by this time. Okay. Soon isn't a time, some isn't a number. You need smart objectives. So I think we need to. So there's the history. So what has happened, what hasn't happened since September. But I think we also need to try and pin down a process whereby actually we can say, look, this is what we're asking. This is what the collective, opinion has suggested we should be doing.
And do you think NHS Citizen has worked to try and have a new type of conversation around health and healthcare?
Well,
because there's been lots of talk about the lobbying behaviours. Can we actually get to a point where we have meaningful dialogue?
Well, if the board stay engaged, we need to talk amongst ourselves, but the point is to talk to the board. If they stay engaged, then yes, it is possible. They do have to stay completely engaged. There's no point handing it off to 3 or 4 people who get to look after, the patient voice. They've got to take the thing seriously. I think one of the difficulties is that we don't. I like the idea of the structurelessness of NHS Citizen, the idea that it needs to be kind of agile and flexible and all those things. But I'm disappointed, and I've said so on a couple of occasions, that we aren't using some existing structures. Okay. In the east of England, we've got a Citizen Senate, which is a broad group of people with fantastic skills, experience, and networks, great networks, from right across the east of England. A similar thing's been set up in the West Midlands. There's a similar thing on the South Coast, and we're not using those structures, and that seems ludicrous to me. Because how else are we pulling stuff up into this sort of funnel of information? I think we should really be using those structures.
Brilliant.
And I can't see why we're not.
Okay, thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. Thanks very much.